Alright, so this is the 8th video. This is part 2 of day 3 of Who the F Does This Dog Think He Is? At this point, I've met his feisty Chihuahua love interest or ex-girlfriend's dad and adult sister, and learn a lot. I did also learn that they might have at one point tried to put him in their backyard, and it wasn't successful, but it wasn't really clear what that was. At that point, I went over to Sierra's house, filled her in. We know a name for this feisty Chihuahua mix girl, told her all the info, what had happened so far that day. Since I didn't know the name of the boy dog, if you recall, there was a boy dog, looked really similar to Riley, but was taller. We enlisted the creative mind of Sierra's eldest child, who, without hesitation, chose the name Tom. So Tom, the happy, taller Chihuahua mix that lives really close to Riley and looks very similar to Riley, that's the other dog on that street. Bandit had no interest in trying to mount that guy. So, Bandit, he's got type. That's fine. At that point, Sierra gave me all the tools, the interventions that I might need. The thigh collar, the big bone, the hot dogs, the cheese. So many interventions that I won't list here, but if you've recommended it, I had it. I left on my mission and went back to Bandit's favorite new spot, Riley's house, specifically right in front of the fence to her yard. And then I started to set up the many interventions that I had planned to use. I kid you not. I rubbed a whole hot dog on that fight collar. And then I set the collar down on my blanket, and then I threw treats at the collar. So Bandit would have to eat the treats off of the collar. My idea would, be to get Bandit used to the collar. Oh, hold on. I'm getting a call from the news desk. One moment.
Am I the hot dog that got rubbed all over Bandit's collar? Maybe I am. Am I mad about it? A little bit, but I get it. Like, he's not gonna wanna put this collar on. It smells so new. What is new? He doesn't know what new is. It smells so good. Yeah, I'm pretty sure she's gonna chop me up and, feed me to Bandit.
That hot dog's no longer alive. Okay, I was able to give Bandit a bigger dose of the first but not expired intervention, as well as hemp oil, a full dose of those quiet moments, calming treats that we've seen him eat in the past. He did seem to be tired when she gave those to him. Here's my thing. I think he was calm and in her yard. So that made a big difference compared to how those might impact him when he's not in her yard at night. Anyways, Bandit seemed really confused at that point about where his former girlfriend, love interest Riley was. He seemed so committed to hanging out with her, only she would come outside. I gotta say, Sierra has some amazing people in his Spud community. Between the thigh collar and this dang dog bone, Spuds have been so generous and kind to help give Sierra so many awesome tools to help bring Bandit home. The thigh collar attached to my small bag, and this gigantic dog bone treat that, I'll show you a clip. I swear, it smelled just like smoked ribs. Which, shout out to Micah and Sammy's, because dang, I'm not a person who loves the smell of meat, or even wants to think about where that bone came from. But that bone smelled amazing, and I know Bandit's gonna love it when he finally gets to chow down on it. Shout out to Christine for sending that to Sierra, because dang, your boy was interested. I did my best to lure Bandit back to Sierra's house while she stalked me through the collar, because it's got a GPS tracker on it. About a little after 2:30, I had lured him back to her yard, and she brought out a much needed water refill for Bandit. He's been thirsty all day, in more ways than one. I tried to set up a shaded spot in her yard to chill with Bandit while the multiple interventions I'd given him already hopefully started to impact him. Sierra brought out a can of wet dog food. I could try to slowly feed him something other than hot dogs and cheese. But before I could even see any signs of a calmer Bandito Montfrere, he pranced back to Riley's. Now, if you've been in one of Sierra's lives, you've seen this prance, you know this prance. He trots off so happily. I followed with the can of dog food, huge bone, hot dog, cheese, pie collar. I planned to try another dose of the intervention. Again, Bandit was really distracted by the fact that Riley was not outside. She wasn't even in her backyard, he could tell. But frickin' Tom, the long-legged neighbor Chihuahua mix, he was outside. He wanted all the snacks. Bandit found some shade, and he didn't seem to care. He wasn't interested in anything. And it seemed like he didn't care especially because Tom was right in my face, like a cute, bouncy little food friend. Like, I want a treat. I'll take that. He was, I want it. An hour or so later, Sierra asked if he was showing any signs of being impacted by the interventions. I told her I definitely felt like he would get tired, but then someone would drive by, or Tom the dog would walk by, and then Bandit would perk right up. After that, first night, I had noticed the more interventions he had, the more closed his eyes seemed to be more regularly. He did seem like he was pretty sleepy, so he was clearly fighting those sleepy feelings. And then out of nowhere, Bandit headed for some drinking water, which he's got a couple of spots that he likes to go. He trotted off, and he came back with his signature muddy as heck freaking paws, which was adorable. This is when I spoke to another neighbor that I am going to call Mr. Brady. So Mr. Brady lives close to Mr. T and Riley's house. I found out Mr. Brady is also someone we might know as the dog walker's dad. If you've been on Sierra's Lives, you've known that Bandit will follow this dog walker person walking dogs. Bandit will just walk alongside with them, like he's just like, okay, cool. Mr. Brady said that him and his son had noticed Bandit was a stray about 2 years ago, posted him on the local Facebook page, never got a response, not even like, oh man, that's our dog, we couldn't find him and we moved. So Mr. Brady and his son have tried to get Bandit to come near their front door, come inside, and they've never been able to. They always put water on the porch for him. They understand not to feed him. They said Bandit tends to hang out in the shade in their yard. Mr. Brady agreed whenever I shared Sierra's plans. He understood why it's taking the amount of time it's taking, because he personally had his own experience trying to capture Bandito. Which brings us to part 3 of day 3 in this series called Who the F Does This Dog Think He Is? Not being impacted by anything. No sleeping at night for Bandito.